How's it going, everyone? Matt, Leighton. Welcome back to another real estate video. Today's video is going to be about the discount brokerage Purplebricks, who's actually pretty popular in the UK and England. They came to the United States offering a discount model, and they've completely failed. I think they've lost something like $75 million. A couple people on their C-level quit. A lot of their employees were unhappy. They came to the U.S. as a discount brokerage model, and then they completely failed. So Shawn and I are going to talk about why they failed and why discount brokerage models are failing across the United States. Shawn, how's it going today?
Good, Matt. We're definitely in the summer market here. Things are, inventory is stagnant just as usual. I feel like there's a lot less traffic. People are on vacation, which is good and bad, but I did see a few listings come up this week in our market that look pretty good that I'm gonna be showing this weekend. We're gonna go see a house after this, and you got a new listing.
Got a new listing in Amazon HQ2 in the backyard, right in Pentagon City.
Yeah.
There's two bedrooms on, like in Pentagon Crystal City. They're both in the 800s. We're at $599, which is an absolute steal. So looking forward to the open house this weekend. And I was clicking around online, and I just saw another real estate lawsuit pop up.
I did see this one is huge.
Realty is suing Compass. You saw that?
I heard the headlines. I don't know the exact details of it. Do you?
A little bit. I need to look more into it. But basically, Realty, who think Coldwell Banker, Century 21 Berkshire is Berkshire Hathaway in it?
I think so. I don't know.
All right.
It's a big conglomerate of different agencies that are. Go ahead.
So I think it's just what they're going after is like unfair business models or Compass poaching other talent. Obviously, we're biased, but I don't quite know how. I'm not a big suing kind of guy. I think we live in a world where, God forbid, you step on someone's bubble gum on their yard, and then all of a sudden you have a lawsuit at your door. So I'm kind of the mindset of avoid everything and then sue someone. And I think everyone is like, how can we sue someone as soon as possible?
Yeah, it's big in this area and all around. I'm not the type to sue anybody, and there's a lot of frivolous stuff out there. So I don't know what the details of this are, but I'm interested to hear it.
Yeah.
I saw that come up, so interesting.
Everyone's suing everyone in real estate. All right, Purplebricks. So their whole mantra is discount rates and basically a flat fee service, whether your property sells or it doesn't sell. And in the UK, and if you've seen our show before, dude, we should just call it the Shawn and Matt Show. Mm-hmm. What do you think about that?
The Shawn and Matt Show.
I think it's got a little ring to it.
Or Bat and Matt? Okay, Shawn and Matt.
Nah, let's do Shawn and Matt. The Shawn and Matt Show. So if you've been watching our show, you'll know that in the UK, there's just one real estate agent, and that's the listing agent. So there's there's not that many hands in the cookie jar, so to speak. So it operates a little bit differently. And what Purplebricks did is they expanded. So they raised a ton of money, hundreds of millions of dollars, and then they rapidly expanded as tech companies do. And then they just completely fell on their face in this unknown market because they're in other markets. And I think what they're going to do now is try to reposition and regroup for Canada and Australia. But when they came to the United States, maybe it was not knowing the market of how the consumer thinks and acts. Maybe it was hiring the wrong people. Not sure. But the end all be all of it is they're trying to disrupt an industry that needs to be disrupted, right? I mean, real estate's been the same for the longest time.
There is a lot of disruption in this industry, constantly.
But they just completely failed. And everyone is like, well, realtors don't have the best, car salesman, realtor,
Yeah.
So everyone is
reputation.
like, oh, well, yeah, exactly. And so everyone's like, well, we need a change. All right, well, here's your change. Go with Purplebricks, sell your house for a flat fee, save a bunch of money, and they completely failed. I have the article here. Shares plummet 75% in the 2 years that they were in the United States. founder quits. I mean, everything is it's just complete failure on the U.S. front, and now they're going to reposition and then go after a couple of other international markets.
Right, and where they're always going to start is the hot markets, right? They're always going to try the hot markets because if you're doing a flat fee type of business, you want to go where things are going to sell quickly. And that's the whole thing. What if the market changes? It can change very quickly. So of course they're going to go after LA, San Francisco, DC market was probably coming. And from what I read on their website, they were charging, do you know how much they were charging per listing?
Not off. Yeah.
So the seller or the seller would pay the buyer commission at closing. And from what I read, they were charging $3,200 per listing. $3,000, $3,200 per listing. That is, I mean, do you know how much cost goes into ramping up a listing? How many hours go into that? I mean, so how much cost comes out of that, right? And then how much goes to the agent that's doing all the work?
Right.
And on their website, they have like 4 different agents up there that are like 10 years experience, 6 years experience, 8 years. I really doubt that the majority of their agents are going to be super experienced agents.
Right.
These are going to be agents that are just starting out trying to figure out real estate, or at the end of their career where they just don't have the lead generation capabilities, right? So these type of agents are relying on this agency to bring them the business. They can't go out and get it themselves because they're just not that type of agent.
Well,
so
they're passive.
They're very passive. Yeah. So passive agent, do you want a passive agent working for you? That's the question.
I think what it comes down to is with companies like this, the agents are more on a salary based rather than commission, because what I've heard a lot is on my YouTube channel at the Matt Leighton, you can go subscribe if you haven't already. How do I find an agent that has my best interests in hand and is not just about the money?
Right.
That's the main key. Well, you could say that for
right here.
You could say that for literally any sales service industry.
Absolutely.
How do I find someone that doesn't just care about the money, but cares about me? And I think that's exactly why real estate agents exist, is because when I go on appointments, when I meet with buyers and clients, I'm like, listen, I'll help you sell this, but my end goal here is to have all of your friends and family refer me. So I may break even or I may make some money on the sale here, but that's not my motive. My motive is to get an awesome review from you and then for you to tell your entire sphere how amazing it was to work with me. And when you're just getting paid a salary, whether it closes or not, you just don't have that same incentive there. So your incentive is 9 to 5, which I'm guessing maybe some of these agents are 9 to 5. Sit back. It may sell, it may not. And there's just a different level of service there when you have more of a safety net, I would call it, compared to someone who's going out, creating an experience for the consumer and helping them and their family realize their home goals.
Yeah, could you imagine if we worked 9 to 5? Turn off your phone at 5 o'clock and, we're not most of our calls come after 5 when people are getting off of work.
I took a phone call at 10 o'clock last night.
Exactly. We work 10, 11 o'clock. I mean, it's constant. So, and if you're not in this world texting whatever at all times, you're losing deals, you're losing clients. And a lot of times what our clients will say to us is, we feel like we're your only client. That's because we're working constantly to keep up with everything that's going on. And I think that's the difference in hiring an agent that's really going to work for you, paying a little bit more, or hiring somebody that's doing something for a salary. It's completely different. How many salaried workers go in and are searching the internet all day?
Right.
Most,
right.
A lot of them, right? So why would you want that working for you?
I had a very interesting conversation with a seller, working with some buyers, and they called me and said, "Oh, Matt, we just forgot our water bottle in the townhouse. Can you go in and get it for us?" And the seller had already returned. I was just on my phone, probably just liking Instagram statuses and whatnot. And the seller was there, so I knocked on the door and said, "Hey, Mr. Seller, I'm so sorry. There's a water bottle in here." And as a buyer's agent, you're not supposed to talk to the seller, right? That's kind of like, you don't tisk, you don't do that. But I was like, I just need my water bottle, man. I'm just trying to get my water bottle. It's like a shaker bottle. They're into CrossFit. So so they ended up not having the water bottle because my clients had it. But I spent about 20 minutes talking with this seller because he was very intrigued about real estate, about commissions. We had a very good, I don't want to call it an argument, but a very good discussion about Purplebricks, Open Door, and Redfin, because I wasn't making an argument, but he was like, yeah, everything's getting disrupted with Open Door and Red. I was like, well, have you used Open Door? He's like, oh, no, but Redfin, they're everywhere. You know who the property was listed by? Century 21. So he was like, yeah, Redfin, they're doing all this stuff, and I'm like, yeah, well, Redfin's lost $75 million. They've never made money. They've literally never.
Yeah.
And he made a good point. He said, well, Amazon hasn't turned a profit. And that's a fair point, because my argument is like, well, do you want to do business? Do you want to hire someone that has never made a profit, that has never made money? And he's like, well, Amazon's never made money. That's a really good point. I think the biggest argument is whose sign is in the front yard. So he's talking about Redfin. He's talking about Open Door, where basically you can get an offer on your property at, call it 75, 80% of the value without paying any commissions. And the end all be all of that was the Century, and it could have been any brokerage, but Century 21 was the listing agent. So I think it was ironic that he's talking about disruption. Because he's like, 1%, that's a big deal. And it is a big deal. 1%, that's thousands of dollars. And why should I pay you 1% more than the next realtor? And we get that question all the time. I love that question. And he's just like sitting there waiting for an answer. I don't need to give him an answer. The answer is who he signed the brokerage deal with.
Yeah.
That's a pretty obvious answer to me.
The thing is, that's exactly it. And I was showing a property the other day where the seller was actually home, which is kind of uncomfortable.
It's weird.
It's weird. As a listing agent, I'm going to say seller, always leave when somebody's coming to the door. But this guy was a super nice guy. And he just started asking me questions like, what do you think of the house? Or what do you think I should do? Or, he's like, my agent told me to sell it as is and that I shouldn't do any upgrades. And I'm like, well, I personally feel like, depending on the situation, you should do the upgrades because you're leaving so much money on the table selling it as is. Yeah. If you would spend a little bit of money in upgrading that, then your profit's going to be larger. You're going to get that money back and more. And we got into this conversation and he's like, my agent isn't giving me any idea of what to do. And I'm just thinking to myself, well, you hired the wrong agent, right? I mean, there should be people that are telling you what things to do to improve your property, to make it sell quickly, to make it sell for top dollar. Yeah. And most agents aren't doing that. They don't care. You're just a number, throwing you on the thing. Whereas us, we're like, listen, our reputation is on the line here. We want this place to look good because our name's on the listing and our pictures, right? Not only that, we want it to sell quickly and for the highest dollar. And so we're always going to be trying to do that and letting our clients know what to do. And that's through experience, every day selling real estate for 16 years. Yeah,
and you make a good point there, because that agent seemed like he wasn't taking a lot of initiative maybe. And I've talked a lot about Redfin. I've talked a lot about discount brokerages. And some people may think that I don't like discount brokerages, which is furthest from the truth. I actually love Redfin. I love doing deals with them. I like the agents on the other side because I know that they can speak English. They know how a transaction works. They have assistance on the back end. It's a very easy company to deal with. But there's another benefit to this too. The benefit is your Redfin and, not Purplebricks anymore, but Redfin and other discount brokerages are going to completely eliminate the agents that aren't doing any work, that are just kind of sitting there, that are the weekend warriors, that are someone's aunt or someone's uncle that's not really in the business. They're going to completely wipe out the lower end of the real estate agents that are in there. And the reality is there's a buyer for every price, and there's a price for every buyer. So if you want to pay the least amount to list your property, line the agents up at the door. If you want to pay for an agent to advise you professionally, give you options, take the initiative, put videos on YouTube, create social media marketing campaigns around your listing. There's agents for that. So I love Redfin because they're eliminating, we were just talking about this yesterday, how many agents are getting out of the market. Dude, inventory is down 50% in Arlington. Sales prices are up 17%. Is it a sustainable market? Probably not. You know what's also not a sustainable market? Being a terrible real estate agent. So there's a lot of agents that you won't be seeing those Facebook posts in 6 months, in 12 months. And I'm completely okay with that. And I'm completely okay with Redfin gaining, dare I say it, a little bit of the market share if it means eliminating incompetent real estate agents.
Yep. And like you're saying, drop the mic. Listen, hot real estate markets will float everybody. I mean, it's a lot easier to do real estate when it's hot, right? Things sell quickly. You know, buyer sides are a lot more difficult. So in this market, we're seeing a little more difficulty, and a lot of agents' sales are down because of the buyer side, because it's just so competitive. But the key is a lot of these agents that were doing really well in a great market will fail, right? Once the market starts turning, they're going to fail. And this is part of the reason that Purplebricks, if they didn't fail now, they would in the future, because they're going after the hot markets. They're going after LA, San Francisco, whatever. But keep in mind that these areas have high median incomes, right? So to live there, you also have to make decent money, right? So do you know what the median income for Arlington is?
It's got to be 110.
It's $112,000.
Oh,
okay.
Close.
So I did a little scenario just to kind of figure out, all right, why is Purplebricks failing?
Yeah.
Right. So $112,000. There's 52 weeks in a year.
Yeah.
Right. So a salaried person over 40 hours, that's $54 per hour. Okay. So Purplebricks is charging you $3,200. Mm-hmm. How much are they consuming and how much are they paying that person? Right. So if it was a $54 per hour thing, and say $1,600 went to cost and $1,600 went to paying their agent, that would put them at $54 an hour. Yeah. Let me find my stats because they would, man, I'm losing it. Hold on. They would be able to spend 29 hours on your listing. Once 29 hours is over, the cost is gone, right? They're losing money. So at the median income of $112,000, they have 29 hours to work. And that's taking the $1,600, right? So in order to make $112,000, that one agent would have to sell 71 houses.
That's a lot of houses.
71 houses? That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, that's top 1% of agents in the country.
Right.
And, you know, to give you an idea, we do about 40 transactions a year, maybe, to combine, somewhere around there. Combined, right? Yeah. So 71 per agent. How much attention are they going to be giving you, first off, right? And how can they stay in business on that model? Well, they might be making more on the buy side, and maybe they're doing designated representation over and over again or something. But it just goes to show you that, you know, an hourly worker doing real estate, you don't want that in your corner.
It almost sounds like minimum wage at that point, paying that agent. And that 29 hours, that's including travel and putting up lock boxes.
And I mean, that front end of the listing is so much work. You know, there's so much work involved in going and taking the pictures, the 3D tours. Then if you're doing what we do, the videos, the online posts, I mean, Instagram posts, everything. I mean, it takes so much time, especially in that first week. And then just think, if it takes 6 months to sell. 6 months? I mean, that's a long time on the market. That's a lot of work every week, pushing, calling those people, saying, I don't know why your property's not selling in a slower market. I mean, it's doomed to fail.
Right. And I think right now everyone's trying to save money when they sell. All right, I'm going to hire the cheapest selling real estate company. Well, I think what will end up happening is the buyer agent is going to be diminished over time. And in 10 years, is there even going to be a buyer's agent? Because the real key for sellers is to put the property on the market, make it look amazing and get all the offers as possible. But buyer's agents, their skill and what the value they provide in terms of finding properties is obviously a lot different than 10 years ago. And I think we're going to transition to see less and less buyer compensation. Sellers still paying the selling broker, but less buyer compensation.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing, we talked about this before, but like not having buyer representation, I mean, there is so much that goes into it, and I've seen it on different brokerage levels where you can tell they're not really caring about their buyer because they're just letting them write whatever. But when you have somebody, especially in different markets, that knows the market and knows how to write a contract and get you the best value, I mean, that's what a buyer's agent's for. I mean, we're here to be the expert in the area and to get you the best price possible for that property, or in a hot market, to get you the deal and beat everybody else out. But if everybody's just, not represented and they're just throwing offers into a listing agent, guess what? I mean, that's going to be really tough, and there's going to be lawsuits on that. I mean, that's going full circle backwards.
You literally just described Redfin Direct, where you just have a blanket fill-in form online and say offer price, home inspection, without any sort of communication of what the seller prefers. And that's Redfin Direct's not working out too well in Boston, from what I've heard.
You know what else I've also seen is, in certain instances when there's an agency that is kind of refunding money, their clients always overpay, right? They're always overpaying, not caring. They say, hey, we're going to give them a rebate of $3,000 or something like that, and guess what? They paid over by $5,000, $6,000, $7,000.
Right.
So is that worth it? You tell me.
Yeah, it messes with your mind when you're like, okay, I can pay this price because I'm getting this back. So your net might be okay, but when you're almost not tricked, but when you're convinced that you can go to a certain price because you're getting something back, maybe you are overpaying.
Yep. So
22 minutes.
Yeah, we've been talking a long time. I think we're good. Anything else?
Closing time.
It's closing time.
No, it's if you're on YouTube, I'll list and link the Purplebricks article below. It's fascinating because between new brokerages always trying to open up, always trying to infiltrate, always trying to differentiate themselves in the highly competitive real estate market, some make it and some lose 75% of their share because they're a discount agent and they don't make a profit and they have to leave the United States. So with that being said, do you have anything else to say?
No. Honestly, I'm glad to see them go. There's plenty of brokerages out there, but
they didn't even make a
they didn't even
ripple in
make
the
it.
water.
Yeah, exactly.
There's another company, I forget the name of it. They always have, you seen these articles where it looks like an article from like a news station, but it's actually a sponsored post.
Yeah.
So it like looks like reporting, but it's actually just them paying for it. There's another flat fee model in the DC area, and they've had a couple listings. You call them, and it's like a Pennsylvania number. They pay out like 1.5%. They have the crooked pictures. Well, I think they might be changing their model too. So
they all end up changing because it's honestly, I showed a place a couple weeks ago. I couldn't even get into the property. I was calling a 1-800 number. I tried to make an appointment. So they eliminated probably about 80% of the people that were going to go see it. If they would have let everybody see it, they would have multiple offers. But they were so reduced because you couldn't get a hold of anybody.
Yeah.
It was impossible. It's just like a lender that doesn't call you back. I mean, it's impossible to do business. So you're shooting yourself in the foot. They saved some commission, but they lost a ton, I'm telling you, in equity.
So I'll leave you with this. Restaurants. You ever go out to new restaurants?
Yeah, all the time.
How do you find your new restaurants? What sort of rating service? Do you ever go to Yelp?
Yeah.
You say you go to Yelp?
Yeah, sure.
What if you went to Yelp and a restaurant was 3.5 stars?
I'd pass right over it.
You'd pass right over it.
Yeah.
Look up Redfin Yelp, Virginia. Look up Redfin Yelp. All of their ratings are 3.5, 3 stars, 3.5. Dude, that's not even going to be a consideration for my restaurant choice. My restaurant choice is District Taco. Just better be 5 stars. But everyone wants to talk about the discounts. Like I started the story with the seller where I need to get the water bottle. The water bottle wasn't there. He's like, yeah, Redfin's doing all these amazing stuff. Why don't you walk it like you talk it and list with Redfin instead of listing with Century 21, which is what you did.
That's right.
All right, guys. For Shawn and for myself, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
Thanks.